Along the southern border of the United States, the situation has started to look less like immigration control and more like a security operation. Vehicles suddenly accelerate toward checkpoints. Drivers abandon their trucks and run across the desert. Border agents shout commands while helicopters and patrol units close in. What authorities are now dealing with is not just migrants trying to cross it, is heavily connected to organized crime. In one of the largest crackdowns in recent years, U.S. authorities have intensified operations along the southern border, leading to the arrest of hundreds of traffickers and cartel-linked operatives attempting to enter the country. Intelligence officials warn that some of these individuals are not simple smugglers. Many are trained cartel gunmen, capable of carrying weapons, transporting fentanyl, and building criminal networks inside the United States. And according to investigators, this sudden surge did not happen by accident. It began after a single event shook Mexico's criminal underworld and triggered a wave of cartel movement toward the north. The sudden movement of cartel operatives toward the United States began after a major shock inside Mexico's criminal world. The reported death of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. For years, CJNG had been one of the most powerful and violent cartels in Mexico, operating large trafficking networks and controlling strategic routes used to move drugs into the United States. But when Mencho was removed from the picture, the organization began to fracture. Rival factions and competing cartels quickly moved in to fight for control of territory, money routes, and smuggling operations. The result was immediate instability across several regions of Mexico. Intelligence reports indicated that thousands of cartel gunmen known as sicarios suddenly began moving north. Some were attempting to escape the violent internal conflict, while others were trying to expand cartel influence across the border. Authorities believe that more than 5,000 CJNG members and associates attempted to reposition themselves toward the U.S. border, with California becoming one of the main targets for expansion. As cartel movement increased, surveillance along the border intensified. In several incidents, drones operated by the Texas Department of Public Safety captured images that immediately raised alarms. The footage showed armed men standing only meters from the line separating Mexico and the United States. Some of them were carrying long rifles, weapons commonly associated with cartel enforcement units. When patrol units approached the area, several suspects attempted to retreat back toward the Mexican side of the border. But in some encounters, the situation escalated quickly. Investigators reported that armed individuals opened fire toward U.S. border agents, turning what should have been routine patrol operations into dangerous armed confrontations. These incidents made it clear that the people approaching the border were not ordinary migrants. Many appeared to be trained cartel operatives attempting to cross while carrying weapons or protecting smuggling routes. In response, American authorities dramatically expanded security operations along key crossing points, particularly in Texas and other high-traffic border regions. As intelligence reports confirmed cartel movement toward the border, U.S. law enforcement agencies launched a series of large-scale coordinated operations. These operations involved federal agents, state police, border patrol units, and specialized anti-narcotics teams working together across multiple states. According to official reports, more than 400 enforcement operations were carried out as part of this crackdown. The results were significant. Authorities recorded over 3,200 arrests linked to cartel activity, including more than 1,000 individuals associated with the Sinaloa cartel and other organized trafficking groups. Many of those detained were not just smugglers, but active cartel operatives. During these arrests, agents seized a wide range of illegal materials, including assault rifles such as AK-47s, large quantities of synthetic drugs like fentanyl, explosives, and millions of dollars in cash hidden inside vehicles and secret compartments. Some suspects were intercepted while attempting to move shipments across the border, while others were discovered already operating within American cities. The scale of the seizures revealed how aggressively cartel networks had been attempting to expand their operations into the United States. Investigators say cartel members attempting to enter the United States generally fall into two very different categories: The first group consists of high-ranking figures connected to cartel leadership. These individuals rarely cross the border illegally. Instead, they enter the country through legal channels, often using investor programs such as the EB-5 visa, sometimes referred to as the investment visa. This program allows foreign nationals to obtain residency by investing large amounts of money in American businesses. Cartel-linked individuals have taken advantage of this system, bringing millions of dollars into the United States and establishing businesses that appear legitimate on the surface. Restaurants, coffee shops, and small companies are sometimes used as fronts to move and clean cartel money generated from drug trafficking, extortion, and other violent activities in Mexico. The second group operates very differently. These are the sicarios, the lower-ranking cartel gunmen responsible for enforcement and protection of trafficking routes. Many of them attempt to cross illegally by blending into migrant caravans, using underground tunnels built by cartel engineers, or even traveling in vehicles disguised to look like official military transports. Border Patrol videos show suspects being detained with drugs, weapons, and large sums of cash hidden in sophisticated compartments designed specifically for smuggling operations. While cartel gunmen attempt to cross the border illegally, investigators say some members of cartel leadership have already been living comfortably inside the United States for years. Authorities have identified relatives connected to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel who established businesses in California, particularly in cities such as Los Angeles and San Diego. Among the names that attracted attention were relatives linked to El Mencho's family. According to investigations, some of them operated restaurants and cafes while presenting themselves as legitimate entrepreneurs. On the surface, these businesses appeared successful and ordinary, but federal investigators believe that several of these operations functioned as financial fronts used to move cartel money into the American economy. Reports describe luxury ranch properties, high-end sports cars, and multi-million-dollar homes connected to individuals under investigation. One of the cases involved a daughter of El Mencho who was linked to businesses and companies suspected of receiving cartel funds. Authorities also discovered records showing repeated travel between Mexico and the United States, raising suspicions that these trips were connected to financial and logistical coordination between cartel networks on both sides of the border. As arrests increased, investigators began gaining valuable intelligence from detained cartel members and associates. Some suspects provided information about the smuggling infrastructure used to move people, drugs, and money across the border. These revelations exposed a network of hidden routes, underground tunnels, and staging areas used by trafficking organizations for years. Several of these tunnels had been constructed with sophisticated engineering, allowing cartel operatives to move large quantities of drugs and weapons without being detected. Intelligence gathered from interrogations also revealed specific crossing strategies used by cartel groups trying to reposition after the internal conflict triggered by the fall of El Mencho. In some cases, authorities were able to anticipate movements in advance, setting up surveillance and intercepting suspects before they could reach major U.S. cities. This new intelligence significantly improved coordination between American and Mexican authorities, turning what had once been a reactive response into a more proactive strategy against cartel infiltration. In response to the growing threat, the United States dramatically strengthened security along the southern border. Additional resources were deployed, including National Guard units, advanced drone surveillance, motion sensors, and reinforced barriers across key crossing areas. Authorities described the strategy as a full-scale effort to prevent cartel operatives from expanding their criminal networks inside the country. Officials reported that these measures significantly reduced illegal crossings connected to organized crime operations during 2025. But enforcement did not stop at the border. Investigations also expanded to airports and financial networks inside the United States. Several suspects connected to cartel operations were arrested after arriving on private flights carrying large amounts of undeclared cash. At the same time, federal agencies conducted raids on businesses suspected of laundering cartel money through restaurants, retail stores, and small companies that appeared legitimate on the surface. These investigations uncovered networks moving millions of dollars generated from drug trafficking and violent crime in Mexico. The collapse of leadership inside the Jalisco New Generation Cartel created chaos that pushed thousands of cartel operatives toward the United States. Some attempted to hide among migrant groups, others tried to enter legally through business investments, and many hoped to escape the violent power struggle unfolding in Mexico. But the coordinated response from U.S. authorities has turned the border into a trap rather than an entry point. Every week, more cartel-linked individuals are intercepted carrying drugs, weapons, and cash before they can expand their operations. For investigators, the message is clear. The violence that begins south of the border may try to move north, but stopping that expansion has now become one of the highest priorities for law enforcement.